I still remember the day my name was announced for the cheer squad, Mia Carter, the new girl and outsider amongst the sea of familiar faces in the Eastbrook gym. It was a moment that should have filled my heart with joy, yet there was this palpable tension in the air, like the whole room collectively held its breath. When the list dropped, a moment of applause for me quickly turned into something different. A hushed laughter from the back, eyes rolling as my classmates glanced at one another. I didn't just make the squad, I was thrust into the spotlight, and it felt more like a target painted on my back. Trey and his crew, the high and mighty clique, had a way of making my presence sting. I could see their smirks turning into whispered jabs. What's she doing here? Did they really have to pick her? A wave of isolation washed over me, gut-punching my confidence even before I could shake hands with my new teammates. It felt like the gym walls closed in, leaving me feeling smaller and more vulnerable than ever. Over the next few weeks, the bullying escalated. It started with minor annoyances, lockers tampered with. I'd open my locker to find my stuff thrown around inside. Whispers followed me down the hall, little jabs that aimed right for my heart. Look, it's the cheerleader who doesn't belong, they sneered. Once as I was walking to practice, I was tripped, just a little stumble, but it sent a message loud and clear. For some reason, I felt like an imposter, a girl who didn't have a place in the world I was yearning to fit into. Madison, a senior cheerleader, with a heart as big as her smile, stepped in to offer some support, telling me I had talent that I belonged. But even her words didn't break through the fog of bitterness. I couldn't just shake off the taunts and the glares, though sometimes they flickered a little less intensely when Madison was around. I knew I needed to stand up for myself, but how? Then came homecoming, this high-energy event I had envisioned as my moment to shine. I was so excited I wore my new dress with a huge smile plastered on my face. My heart was racing, filled with hopes of fun and laughter. Until just as the festivities kicked off, it happened. As I turned a corner, a sudden shove sent me toppling into a muddy puddle. The cold splash echoed through the crowd, my face burning with humiliation. Gales of laughter erupted, those same laughs joining together in a cacophony of mockery. In that moment, I was not just publicly ridiculed, I felt utterly defeated. Later that evening, after a long day of towels soaked in shame, I confronted my dad. My father, a grizzled former Navy SEAL, had this strength that seemed insurmountable. As I shared my woes, I expected pity, but instead I found something far more powerful: strategy. My dad leaned in, eyes sharp with a sense of urgency. Understand your enemies, Mia. Learn their habits, their weaknesses. You don't have to tackle them head on. Use your mind. And so I began my covert operation, quietly observing Trey and his buddies as they lived their high school lives. I noted the times they hung out, their habits, where they left their prized possessions. It wasn't long before I stumbled onto their vulnerabilities. I gathered what seemed like trivial information, a treasure trove for someone who believed in justice, even if it was a little unorthodox. I discovered that Trey's truck, a badge of honor for him, had a secret. It wasn't just a vehicle, it was a vital part of his identity. One night, I strategically tipped off a faculty member about the parts of the truck he'd been modifying illegally. Within days, he received notice that his college scholarship might be in jeopardy. But that was just the beginning. I caught Brett selling vapes on campus, collecting evidence to support my newfound resolve. Each small victory transformed my growing anger into a plan, and with each executed strategy, my confidence swelled. The whispers that followed me shifted from ridicule to shock as the bullies began to panic. The climax arrived during an afternoon practice when the floodgates finally opened. Without warning, Trey confronted me in the parking lot surrounded by his crew, flaming with newfound fear. What's your problem, Mia? Gonna tell on us? I could feel my heart pounding against my ribcage, but instead of shrinking back, I stood taller, the calm of my father's training underpinning my voice. You think I'm scared of you? I just play smart. I have no problem letting others know who the real bullies are here. The tension was thick, but I didn't back down. The standoff was barely broken by the sound of sirens. I had called the police, providing just enough evidence that those who tormented me were finally held accountable. My heart raced not just from fear, but from a profound sense of empowerment as officers took control of the situation, arresting Swim, suspending them from school, and cutting off their ruthless reign. After all the chaos calmed down, I stood there absorbing the mixed reactions from the school community. Some hailed my actions as courageous, applauding me for taking a stand. Others, however, thought I had gone too far. Confusion bred within the hallways, making each day an exploration of what it meant to be just or wrong. For me, it was never about victory in the traditional sense. I walked those halls liberated, yes, but also transformed. I learned to love myself a little more in the reflecting light of adversity and share my journey, hoping to reach others out there grappling with similar demons. So what do you think? Did I go too far in my fight against bullying, or was it necessary? Have you ever been faced with similar trials, whether face down with bullies or just feeling like an outcast in your own skin? I genuinely want to hear your stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's connect over the essence of what it means to be resilient. And make sure to like and subscribe for more stories about empowerment, determination, and standing tall, no matter the odds against you.